Hey guys, Aaron here, and today I'm with my T-Rex 600E Pro DFC, and I'm just going to go through my pre-flight checks, show you what I do just for safety precautions mainly, and just secondly to make sure the helicopter is safe. But really all this is about is safety for yourself and your helicopter safety, making sure you have a solid machine in the air. So let's get to it. Okay guys, once again we're here with my T-Rex 600E Pro DFC, and I'm just going to show you what I go through to switch a model, just going from the beginning. Now I'm flying Spectrum DX8, and Spectrum recommends once you switch to a different model, you want to basically cycle your radio. So a lot of people say they'll go from their Goblin to their T-Rex, let's just say that. They'll switch it from their Goblin right to their T-Rex and bind everything up right away. What you want to do as soon as you're done switching from your Goblin to your T-Rex, and you're on the model, you've selected the model you're going to fly right now, you want to turn your radio off. This gets a more solid bind. A lot of people say this is unnecessary. It's just a safety precaution, and Spectrum actually tells you to do this. So what you're going to want to do, power this on, make sure your radio is on for a couple seconds. On the DX8 here, you want to wait till it shows everything on the screen. You don't want to start powering it up once, when the screen is still flashing everything. That's no good. So getting right into it, obviously unfold your blades. Make sure that when you plug everything in, nothing's going to bind. If your blade holder is on, it'll bind the servos. It won't let it go to its full travel. So make sure when you're binding, your blades are undone. Next, I'm not going to actually put my batteries in. I just have my receiver battery in over here. So what you're going to want to do, make sure your radio is on. And a good tip is, on a lot of fly-barless models, especially the micros, companies tell you not to do this. Flick it into throttle hold right before you bind it up. Make sure the helicopter still hasn't been turned on yet. But while the radio's on, hit throttle hold. Make sure it's on, because if in the binding process you go like this and you accidentally bump your stick, it's a much safer process. You can just unbind it and rebind it to recenter everything and make it a safer process. So now that you're already all bound up, or you're on your selected model, you're in throttle hold, what you're going to want to do is, I tend to fly my bigger stuff harder. So before you go out and fly, even sometimes before you turn your radio on, just check over everything. Check your head parts, especially your head parts. You have no idea how much force is being put on this head. Obviously your tail, mainframe, you want to check everything over good. But really, if you've already checked everything over good before, and this is just like your second or third flight out, you just want to check your head parts mainly. So one thing you want to do, grab your blade grips and just try and wobble them back and forth like in this motion, pulling them out and in. You want to see if there's any play in the blade grips. As you see, I have absolutely zero. If there's play, that means either you don't have your feathering or your head spaced properly with enough washers or spacers, or you have a loose feathering spindle. Do not fly a helicopter with a loose feathering spindle. It'll blow apart. You definitely want to check that. Another thing, your links here on the servos that go to the swash plate here, definitely check. These are, they're little plastic links going to extremely high-powered servos. Even though these are stock aligned servos on this T-Rex 600, they're very powerful. So definitely check that. Make sure they're on good, they're not going to pop off. Give it just a little tug, not hard, you don't want to pop them off. Make sure they have a little bit of play side to side here. I don't know if you can see that there. Make sure they have a little play side to side like that. You want that because if they're too tight, they're not going to wobble around a little bit. They're just going to pop and they're not going to give it all. You don't want them to pop because you're going to lose all your cyclic control for that cyclic servo. And you're 9 times out of 10, you're not going to be able to save it, and you're going to lose all your cyclic control. So definitely check that. Really, for the most part in the head, that's it. Obviously, make sure your blades are tight. Make sure everything on your helicopter mechanically is just set up good. You want a good setup on your helicopter. Make sure you have your batteries in, obviously. I don't have my battery in right now because, like I stated, I'm going to plug my receiver battery in. And this is a Thunder Power. The G8 Pro 5400 milliamp. It's a little overkill for the receiver battery. And I'm running a Castle Ice 80 milliamp. So my radio's on, I'm in throttle hold, I'm all good to go. And this next step is really going to be mainly for flybarless, coming up here. So now that you're on, make sure all your sticks are down. You want your throttle all the way down. For the most part, make sure your trims are centered. Make sure all your switches are in the back position aside from your throttle hold. And then on the bigger ones, you can plug your receiver battery in. And I'll show you what to do once your flybarless system arms. Okay, so you want to wait till the blades do that jitter to move the helicopter around at all. I'm running the Align 3GX on 3.1. This is, you know, the good update. Flies really good, so this doesn't have tip over issues. But you want to wait till the lights are solid, nothing's flashing. If anything is flashing on your flybarless system, for the most part, that's not a good sign. So make sure your blades on a flybar on the physical flybarless controllers, they do the little blade dance. On the micros, such as the 130X, they're not going to do that. But on like the TRX 150, they will, because it has a physical flybarless system in it. So now that you're in throttle hold, I mean, I have my receiver battery in, not my main battery, so I can kick it out of hold and I can go up and down because there's no power to the ESC right now. There's only power to the servos and to the flybarless system. So once this is all bound up and you have cyclic servo power, make sure your receiver light is on. Then it's bound and solid. Once again, I'm running Spectrum, so I have a Spectrum DSMX receiver on here, and it's actually I have two on here, one on the left, one on the right, and this is a solid bind, a solid light. If you turn this on and bind it up, and the receiver is flashing or pulsing, and it's not staying solid, you're going to want to unplug the helicopter and turn the controller off and rebind it up and reconfigure all that, because that means it didn't get a solid bind, or it basically means there's a power surge or it didn't get a solid bind. Typically, I mean, it happens occasionally, you just won't get a solid bind. That does happen, especially a lot with the micros. Once that is all done, make sure that you have all power to your cyclic servos and all that, so you can go up nice and slow. I have all power there, forward, back, left, right. Mix it all. I have plenty of cyclic throw, and everything's good there. My rudder is actually working. That's off camera, but rudder's okay. And on the flybarless, especially what you want to do, and this has saved so many helicopters for customers I've test flown, where you want to check your main cyclic compensation of the flybarless system and just your tail compensation. I'm not going to show you tail compensation because I have to spin the helicopter around, but what you're going to want to do is, I'll put it nose in actually so you can see it better. If I go back and forward, so if I go back, the swash plate should be compensating front. Let me do this on a sideways angle here. I don't know how well you can see that, but if I go back, the swash plate's compensating front. If I go forward, the swash plate compensates back. If I go left, the swash plate compensates right, and when I go right, the swash plate compensates left. Now, depending on your flybarless system and your dampening on the flybarless system you have set up, it will compensate differently at different rates. I have mine actually not to compensate a whole lot, just so the flybarless system kind of does its job. Typically, it depends what they call it, either the dampening or the dampening effect, or what they call it on your flybarless system. They call it several different things, but typically the more throw of the swash plate in just the compensation, the less overall control you have of the helicopter. So for max 3D performance, you still want some travel in the swash plate, definitely, but you don't need to have a ton. But this still does move around a decent amount, so you definitely want to make sure your swash plate is compensating. That is the main key factor, because if you're pushing forward or pulling forward on the helicopter and the swash plate is compensating forward, in flight it'll compensate wrong, and if you're lucky, you'll get off the ground, and it'll be into the ground before you know it. At that point, there's almost no saving it. So definitely make sure that is all compensating right, and check over that all okay. And also make sure your tail is compensating right. So the easiest way to do this is actually fold your tail blades up. You see the tail blades are compensating. They're correcting the correct way. Actually, let me turn the blade so you can see it better. So the tail is a dead on. It's very little bit actually. If I move it faster back and forth, you can see it compensating more. That is also, you want to make sure it's compensating in the correct direction. Especially in the bigger ones, make sure you do this. Safety is a key. It's a good habit to get into in the micros, and you know, anything bigger than a 250 and up, even on a fly bar, you don't have to check the compensation, but check your tail compensation and make sure everything is bound up properly. Still make sure you have all your cyclic control. This is just a safety issue. I've seen so many guys do just plug your helicopter in and go, and they end up having a servo failure or something didn't bind up right, and the swash plate's leaned and it just tips over and wrecks their helicopter. So this is all just precaution. I do this every flight. Basically, I just pick it up, make sure I don't take this long, but I just you know, make sure compensation on the fly bar system is okay. Just pull on the feathering spindle, go on the head, make sure everything's okay, and you should be good to go. Do this before every flight. You definitely, especially fly bar system compensation. I can't stress that enough. So hope this video helped you guys out. Like I said, this was mainly just for safety precautions. A lot of people were asking me what I do before I fly and how I do it, so I figured I'd just do a rundown of my whole pre-flight checks of before I fly. So if this video helped you guys out, give it a like. Thanks guys for watching. I hope you enjoy this quick tip series. I plan on doing many more episodes in this quick tip series. And thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.